David Hallam. He's the pastor of Afton Grove Baptist Church here in Jacksonville. And then we will follow that with the pledges. So if you would stand, Brother Hallam. Thank you. Bless us, brother. Amen.
Let's pray. Father God, we come into your presence, Lord. We want to thank you, first of all, for being our God. Yes. We realize, Lord, that without that, we would be nothing. Yes. Secondly, Father, we thank you for the opportunity you've given us to come boldly into the throne room of grace. And we're there, lay our petitions. And Father, tonight, we place our petitions in front of you. We want to thank you for our city council. We ask, Lord, that you would guide and direct them to do exactly what you want them to do, that they would listen as you speak to them and only act in accordance to your will. Thank you, Lord, for the citizens who are gathered here today. We ask, Father, that your will be done in their lives as well. We thank you, Lord, for the student who's going to be honored here today. We ask, Lord, for all these things to be done in the precious name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Brother. Thank you. Please join us in the pledges. First, the American flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Our first item of business will be some special presentations up by JEDCO President, Mr. Shane Pace. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. So as you're all aware, each month we recognize a different business owner, a different business here in Jacksonville, and the awardee tonight is not aware that they are the awardee. So I would like to call Mayor Gorham.
Oh, is she back there? Oh, she is. I didn't even notice that. Yeah.
Randy's been a CPA for many, many years in town. Probably, what, 30 years? 40 years, okay. But if you drive by at 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock at night, 7 days a week, the gentleman's there working. He puts in a ton of hours. And not only does he do that and serves so many of us here in the community, he gives all of his time, he gives to Jacksonville. He loves this place. He spent 11 hours on a ladder painting my house when I first moved here. Didn't know me from Adam, and that's just the type of guy that he is. He is someone that just truly cares for Jacksonville and wants to make everyone that he meets feel welcome and that this is their home as well. So,
great.
Randy, I thank you so much for all you do serving our community, and take a vacation.
I will.
And tomorrow is April 15th, so you're done, right?
Yeah, we're looking forward to that day.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I will. If you based it on the number of hours somebody worked in March, I probably won it. Let me see. We have I think two more.
CT's doing
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, council. I am very honored to bring up two students. We have one that we did not get to honor last month. He had a conflict and he's here tonight. And we have another student. So the first student is Juan Rodriguez. He's our March Student Spotlight. Juan is gifted musically and he would love to teach one day. I believe I've heard he wants to teach orchestra. So he's a band member or a choir member.
Choir.
He has been to state for his singing ability. A lot of our students are chosen because they're natural leaders. Some have potential and extreme growth. And Juan would be one of those that has shown a lot of growth over the years. And so we are very proud of him, and we would love to honor Juan by giving him his plaque. And we will have a banquet next week that we'll see you at as well. Teacher Tiffany, do you want to say a few words on why Juan was chosen?
I have Juan actually since the summer going into 7th grade. And I was his summer school teacher. I have just seen his growth from a young man into a very wonderful
pages long. I have it sitting over there. I can't even tell you everything on it. She's a National Honor Society. I believe you were recommended for several different career paths with CTE. I know you're involved with the culinary arts, and you've been the team captain, is that what it's called, for the barbecue team? And so we're just so proud of the work that you've done. You are a go-getter, and you are very outgoing, and you've done tremendous work in your pathway, and we want to recognize Sophia Hernandez as our and Mr. Dorman will say a few words on why Sophia was chosen.
We could have half the staff up here probably talk about her because she's led in a lot of different organizations. But I've known her through HOSA. I guess you've since your freshman, sophomore year? Freshman year, I was doing EMT, now full-time teaching at CTE. And I got to teach her last year in health science theory, preparing for practicum, and she's done great things as a senior and leading out in that and being successful. And her smile, as you can tell tonight, just is infectious to everybody.
Y'all congratulate them one more time. Got it? Okay, thank y'all.
Next, we have two proclamations. One is Autism Awareness Month, presented to Cheryl Torres. Mrs. Cheryl, would you come? That'd be great. And Patrick Foster with JISD. And I'll read this, it's not long. No, you're not. Whereas Elijah's Retreat, located in Jacksonville, Texas, is a 50-acre sanctuary dedicated to families facing autism, providing a vital community that reduces isolation and fosters hope, rest, and renewal for caregivers. And whereas Elijah's Retreat enriches the lives of children through therapy animals, therapeutic writing instruction, and meaningful experiences that promote growth and confidence. Whereas the organization equips youth and adults with transition services that support their journey from school to employment. And whereas Elijah's Retreat connects families to essential resources and services while strengthening the community through inclusive events such as Extraordinary Livestock Show, Tomato Fest, Extraordinary Rodeo, National Night Out, Top Soccer, and Night to Shine. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, Randy Dorn, Mayor of the City of Jacksonville, do hereby proclaim the month of April 26th is Autism Awareness Month. Signed this the 14th day of April, 2026. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
You have to go
Away
short
from the
through
podium. Oh.
Okay.
How we doing? Everybody, one big step this way. This way. There we go. Okay.
Great.
Do what?
Can they say a few words?
Yeah, they're more than welcome to.
If you guys want to say a few words, you can.
Yeah, you want to say something? Go ahead.
So Jacksonville ISD is very proud to support our students with autism. In my role, I do it through SEL counseling, so social emotional learning. Some of our students receive that. I and my team spend time with them, kind of coaching them and helping them succeed. We also have an autism strategist in the district who was unable to be here this evening, and she liaises with the parents and just gets to spend time with them and help them out with what they need. And then she and I collaborate throughout the school year to make sure that our teachers and our students are successful.
Thank you for what you do, because you do a lot for these families and for the kids. And thank you, Mayor, and thank you, City Council, for making this Autism Awareness Month and helping spread awareness, but also inclusivity in our community and really helping strengthen our approach to being able to support these families within our community. Because when we do that, when we wrap around them and we show them that we want them to be a part of our community, not tucked away, then we can really change our community and we can change their lives in a really, really positive way. So
this is recognizing April as Child Abuse Awareness and Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Whereas child abuse and sexual assault are serious and widespread issues affecting individuals and families across our communities in the state of Texas, regardless of age, gender, race, sexual orientation, economic status, or religion. And whereas child abuse includes physical, emotional, and sexual harm, as well as neglect, and can have a long-lasting effect on the child's physical, emotional, and psychological well-being. And whereas sexual assault is a violent crime that impacts individuals of all ages, with many cases going unreported, leaving survivors to face lasting trauma and barriers to healing. And whereas prevention efforts, early intervention, and community education are critical in protecting children and supporting survivors of sexual assault. Whereas children who experience abuse are at increased risk for long-term consequences, including mental health challenges, substance abuse, and continuing cycles of violence. And whereas 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will experience sexual abuse before the age of 18, and 1 in 5 women and 1 in 7 men will experience sexual assault in their lifetime. Whereas communities play a vital role in recognizing the signs of abuse, reporting concerns, and supporting survivors through advocacy, resources, and compassionate care. And whereas the city of Jacksonville and the state of Texas are committed to raising awareness, supporting prevention efforts, and honoring the work of advocates, law enforcement, healthcare professionals, and organizations dedicated to protecting children and assisting survivors. And whereas April is nationally recognized as both Child Abuse Awareness and Sexual Assault Awareness Month, providing an opportunity for increased awareness, promote prevention, and stand in support of survivors and their families. Now therefore I, be it proclaimed that I, Randy Gorham, Mayor of the City of Jacksonville, do hereby proclaim April 2026 as Child Abuse Awareness Month and Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and call upon all citizens to work together to prevent abuse, support survivors, and create a safer and more compassionate community for all. And witness whereof we have set our hands and caused the seal of our city of Jacksonville to be affixed to this on the 14th day of April 2026. Congratulations. Yes, I'll say
Two words.
something.
So Landry Hargrove, who is our community educator, is going to pass out a couple of ribbons to the council members. Teal is for awareness about sexual assault awareness month, and blue is for child abuse awareness month. And I would be remiss if I didn't highlight our partners in the community and everything that the county, Cherokee County does, as well as Jackson, City of Jacksonville, CPS, law enforcement, EMS, everybody has their part to play, and we couldn't do what we do without them. So we just want to increase our efforts here to engage with the community even more, and we hope to, in coming months and coming years, to reopen our shelter here to help those in need. And we are doing a lot of, Landry does a lot of work at the ISDs here, so we really appreciate y'all opening up the ISD so that we're able to do the work that helps prevent child abuse. So thank you all so very much.
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you for your. Our next item is citizens' participation. This is where we set aside some time to listen to the concerns of the citizens. It's not a dialogue with the council. We can't interact, but we're just here to listen. If you'll just limit your comments to about 3 minutes, that will be great. We have 3 tonight, and I'll just take them in the order that I received them. The first is Shannon Lowry, Crisis Center of Anderson County. Oh, that's okay. Perfect. All right.
Thank you.
That's great. Okay. Wonderful. Our next one is Michelle Williams, Jerusalem Baptist Church.
Correct.
Thank you, ma'am. If you'll just state your name and your address, and then we'll listen. Thank you.
My name is Michelle Williams, I live at 609 Martin Luther King Boulevard here in Jacksonville.
Okay.
I am here regarding an incident that took place on April the 12th, 2026 at Jerusalem Baptist Church. During our worship service, while interim pastor Jimmy Williams was preaching, a church member that was in disagreeing with the dismissal of the pastor contacted the police department. When the officers arrived, the situation was calm. Members was exiting peacefully. There were no arguments, no threats, and no danger. Only a disagreement between the church. Despite this, Officer Jay Grammer tried to enter the sanctuary and requested that Pastor Williams stop preaching to speak to him. I respectfully explained that we were in the middle of a religious service and asked that if he could wait until he finished. I also requested that we step outside to avoid disrupting service. Sorry, y'all, I'm not used to this.
Take your time.
As I extended my hand in a non-forceful manner to guide the conversation outside, Officer Grammer responded in a harsh tone saying, "Don't touch me." I immediately lowered my hand and returned to my seat because my goal was to de-escalate the problem. At all times, I remain calm and respectful. I stand here today before you. I believe this situation could have been handled with greater sensitivity and respect for a place of worship. There was no emergency, no requirement to interrupt a service. Our church are a place of peace. They deserve to be treated with care. I respectfully ask that the incident be reviewed so further interactions between law enforcement and places of worship are handled with a professionalism and respect our community deserves. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Our next one is Scott Brewer. Mr. Brewer. Same song, second verse.
Good evening. I respectfully decline to provide my address. You have it. Just in case something I say here might offend somebody in the audience. I don't really like knowing where I live. I want to address the ongoing fishing tournaments that seem to be happening with more and more frequency. It used to be just a Thursday evening thing in the spring and summer. It's now year-round and multiple nights. The speed coming in is, I know it's a kind of a no-fly zone there along Bird Branch Road because it's a sheriff's jurisdiction, but they come through there 40, 50, 60 miles an hour. I have approached the tournament director and asked him respectfully if he could speak with his people beforehand about the speed and also about the continued littering. And I cannot prove it, but sometimes it's not what you can prove, it's what you know. I pick up the trash from the launch down to Woodland Center 2 to 3 times a week. I clean both sides of the road consistently. I do it on the evening of the fishing tournaments so I could see what the result is by the next morning. By the next morning at 7 o'clock, there's litter, refuse, beer, fishing stuff. I also approached him and said, can you please ask your folks before you get started to take the refuse with them or put it in the can? I was told, how do you know it's my people? My people can't even afford Heineken. So, again, I went there at the end of the fishing tournaments in the evening when everybody cleared out the parking lot just to see what it's left like at that point. Filthy. So I'm picking up the trash then. The encroachment on your property is becoming a problem. Anybody who has a boat knows they're not cheap to keep going. I'm consistently pulling lures out of my boat cover, my sea-doo covers, et cetera, lures banging off my roof, go outside and ask them, hey, would you mind moving on down where there's no boats, where there's nobody occupying? Tell me in language I won't use here to mind my own business, I don't own the lake. Now, I realize I don't own the lake, but I do pay increased property taxes to being on the lake, and I pay $500 a year to live there. I love this city. I do what I can. Anybody who knows me here knows I volunteer for all the events. I'm just looking for some sort of resolution. Now, I've been told by some disgruntled fishermen that a rake has been taken. Now, a rake in the vernacular of poker is when you skim off the top of the pot to pay yourself for organizing the game. Now, that would constitute running a business on the lake, which is not allowed, is my understanding. I can't take people out of my boat for a tour of the lake. I can't rent my jet skis out to people. So that's a business in my eyes. He's torn down signs. They park on the grass. They park in areas that are not supposed to be parked upon. But mostly it's the safety of the neighborhood. The speed. Now, Jacksonville PD is so happy to come out and help the minute they hit the parking lot and the concession area, but their hands are tied between Woodland Center and the parking lot because of the jurisdictional thing. So I just wanted to let it be known that once again, heading into that season, it's already becoming a problem, and it's been a continual problem. I've been on the lake 5 years, and it's getting worse, and I don't know what can be done about it, but I'd appreciate if you guys would look into it.
Right.
Thank you guys for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Was there anyone else that would like to address the council that did not fill out a piece of paper? Okay. Seeing none, we'll go to our next item is our consent agenda. Our consent agenda items under consent agenda require little or no deliberation by the council. It's just approving minutes, purchase of some software, a library grant agreement, surplus items, and the reappointment of Jorge Aragon to the Accident Board. So I will entertain a motion on our consent agenda.
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion by Councilman Rob Gowen.
Second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem Tim McRae. Any discussion needed? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item number 8 is any action out of executive session. We did not have any, so we'll go to number 9. Number 9 is to award a health insurance brokerage and employee benefit consulting service contract. Mr. James, you want to?
Yes, Mayor, City Council, the next 4 items we spent quite a bit of time going over on Thursday, but staff is recommending pursuant to RFP 2026-10401 an award to Brinson Benefits to help manage our brokerage and employee support services related to our employee health care. We have roughly 130 employees who partake in our health insurance policy, not to mention potential dependents. The cost for administrating our benefits and brokerage services, negotiating, offering different plan designs, along with employee advocacy through the Purple Card would come at a cost of roughly $75,000. This is within about $10,000 of our current arrangement with Higginbotham. However, they run a commission-based fee structure as opposed to a per employee fee structure, which is just a little bit more transparent. And Brinson Benefit, we vetted them out with multiple different municipalities and found them to be well qualified and having good performance with those municipalities. They've been in business for 30 years, and Nick Love, who would be our team lead, has been with the company 12 years. They're Texas-based, and all the employee services come from Brinson Benefits employees, so that's nice as well.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion, and then we can discuss.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve Brinson Benefits for our health insurance and benefits consulting services and brokerage.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Tim McRae.
I'll second it.
Second by Councilwoman Letitia Horace. Any discussion?
What's this person do?
Yeah, you weren't there to work.
My apologies. I'm sorry. What's the goal here? The goal is to help be more strategic and hopefully drive down our employee insurance costs. So last year we had
doing that all in-house.
We've been using Higginbotham, which is a different broker.
Okay.
And we've been with Blue Cross Blue Shield the last couple of years. This most recent year, we experienced an over 35% increase in healthcare costs. A lot of that is just market-driven. Some of that's internally driven, and there are some strategies we can employ going off-market, different plan designs to try to maybe even reduce that, if not flatten that curve.
And off-market being?
It's cycle based, like what time of year we take our book of business, if you will, to the marketplace.
So like November would be the federal.
Right, instead of it being a calendar year,
Yeah.
being on a
Fiscal year.
October, a fiscal
They,
year, it would be
right.
off those time frames. So you
They
get that
also
pricing.
provide a one-point advocacy process, so that it's very simple for an employee. If they have questions or anything, they don't have to worry about going either to the hospital, to the doctor, or to the insurance company themselves. They go to their advocate, and it's like a case is opened up, and then
Oh, really?
so they work
Okay.
that for them, and it makes it's really a great process for the employees.
Okay.
And I think they have some kind of guarantee as far as if well, I can't
Yeah,
remember
if they're not able to provide the city with a 9.9% or less renewal, then they cut 20% off of their fee structure, is what they do. Not off your renewal rate, but off their
Off
fee
their fee
structure.
structure.
Yes.
Okay. And how many other, just out of curiosity, how many other brokerage services do we look at?
It was a public RFP. There was one other brokerage company that did submit as well. We did not feel that they were as qualified nor had as much comparative municipal experience.
Okay.
Some of this, you weren't there, I don't think.
No, I was not.
City of Crockett, I think.
City of
Right?
Crockett,
Smith
Kaufman,
County.
Livingston.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Smith County ESD Emergency Services District.
Gregg County uses
Yeah,
them.
Yeah.
Gregg County.
Came highly recommended from some
Other,
citizens.
okay.
It was a pretty good presentation.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
it was a very detailed, but we had quite a PowerPoint and all, but it was really good. Sounds
Seems like there's nothing to lose and everything to gain by going with them.
Well, they hear that they'll reduce their fees.
Yeah.
If, they can't get us the cost break that we need, that's helpful.
Right.
Okay.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item number 10 is to discuss with possible action adopting an ordinance updating the International Residential Code, International Building Code, International Fire Code, International Existing Building Code, International Plumbing Code, International Mechanical Code, International Fuel Gas Code, National Electrical Code, and International Energy Conservation Code. Mr. James.
Thank you for that mouthful. Those codes the mayor just read are enumerated on the slide. There's 9 codes, one of which would be a new code as opposed to an amended or a revised code. We've had the luxury of working with HDR and specifically the gentleman Mark, who joined us virtually on Thursday for the purposes of the workshop. He's a former building official, but now works for HDR, so he's very familiar with these codes. He's been a practitioner, and now he helps municipalities navigate these types of updates. I want to start by saying that there are no retroactive components applicable to existing businesses or homes should these be adopted this evening, and we will talk about what codes we're currently in here in a moment. There are benefits to that new code I mentioned, which is the IEBC, or the International Existing Building Code. That specifically targets some of our legacy or our older buildings in town, not necessarily homes, probably more your commercial structures, and it provides them a pathway to make the buildings safer without bringing them all the way up to a current standard, which may be either cost prohibitive or just constructability. It may not be an option. Insurance Services Office ratings, which the city is rated every so often. It's a 1 through 10 scale, 10 being the worst, 1 being the best. However that city is rated, that can drive especially commercial insurance ratings, in some markets residential as well, so you want to drive that number down. If you're too many cycles out in terms of your currently adopted codes, you run the risk. In fact, you're guaranteed to lose points in that scoring process. Also, staying on top of codes is in alignment with best practices and accreditation programs specifically for building officials and fire departments. Staff would be recommending that these 9 codes go into effect October 1st of this year. That gives about a 6-month grace period from tonight's action. And then any plans submitted prior to October 1st of 2026 would be reviewed under the current codes. Generally speaking, if you're issued a building permit, so long as those submittals were complete, if you're issued a building permit, you generally have about 6 months to start construction. So really, you even have a little bit longer leash outside of that October 1st to get your project underway. Pending potential approval or action this evening, we'll have some staff training. We'd have some community outreach via the website, social media, and the likes, and certainly some website updates. Here's how we compare to some of our surrounding peer communities in relation to all these codes. You see that Tyler is in 2021, as is Kilgore. Many of the others are in 18 or 12 codes. We would be moving all the way to 2024. You know, I mentioned we had the luxury of working with HDR, and a lot of that came because we're going from 06 to 2024. That's a big, big lift. Generally, cities try to either stay on top of these every 3 years, which is the basically the cadence to their issuance of their updates, or every other cycle, which would be like every 6 years. So with the 2027 codes coming out later this calendar year, staff is recommending moving all the way to 2024 so that just in a few months we're not already one cycle out of date. And looking at cost drivers to home construction and things like that, there is not a significant jump between 2021 and 2024. Another reason we would like to recommend moving all the way to the 2024 suite of codes. There are some cost increases from 2006 to 2024 codes, which are recommended. But really, builders are already exceeding the 2006 code, and so it's very hard to pin that down exactly. But most cost increases would stem from the International Energy Conservation Code, which aims to drive down your monthly utility bill, but it does come at the cost of higher HVAC equipment and insulation ratings, typically. But again, most of the units that you could purchase today from reputable HVAC companies are well in exceedance of the 2006 standards. You're probably already purchasing in the 2018 or potentially the 2021 standards, and so moving to the 2024, it would be very incremental. That is kind of the synopsis, if you will, of what we heard on Thursday. It's a lot of codes. It's a heavy lift, but it is something that we feel is necessary.
Can you go back to that one more slide?
Yes.
Is there any reason, and you may not can answer, why Bullard did not move their International Fire Code up, but they moved everything? Do they know something we don't, do you think? Or that's kind of interesting that they're still at the 06. I don't know.
Yeah, I actually don't know the answer to that. I will say that Chief Finley was heavily involved in this process and is basically a code expert, having been a fire marshal for so long in the city of Tyler. I actually reached out to Pam Frederick when we embarked on this to talk about the potential of partnering. Little did I know that they were about to adopt the 21 codes at that time. I think they've also worked with HDR in the past on some of these, so if anybody knows.
One idea may be that all of these other codes, at least in our code of ordinances, is in chapter 4 or 3 on the building section of our ordinances, and the fire code is in chapter 7. So they may have been taking it by chapter. That could have been one explanation.
Sure. Doesn't matter at this point. Anybody have any questions? Go ahead.
Well, I have a question on the 9. But do you need a motion first to approve them?
Yeah.
Or I can.
I'll entertain.
By the way, on the motion, I would recommend saying leaving a little leeway for the final. There were a couple of comments that are unresolved right now to allow for those resolutions to occur. So, with a motion to pass it with that caveat.
Okay.
What do you, I'm sorry, just for clarification, what do you mean, some additional comments?
They were form matters. They were the numeration was off on one instance, and then they referred to the wrong section.
Typos and
when
technicalities.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the 9 international codes that was recommended by staff, with the one exception that we take the attorney's recommendation to let them come back with some resolutions on a few items, 2 or 3 items, whatever it might be.
Okay. We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Tim McRae. Second by Councilwoman Latoya Horace. Now,
my question is probably pretty simple, but James, can you remind me, if you go back to that other screen on the 9 codes, why are we using the 2023 electrical code, was that the last updated one? Or?
Yeah, you'll note currently we're in, I believe, the 08 National Electric Code. They're on a different cycle than are the ICC
Okay, that's what I
codes.
thought, but
Yeah,
I couldn't.
That would be the most recent
So
National
we're moving
Electric Code.
2024 across the board except for that one, which is just hasn't been updated.
Yeah, and another important thing, and this was mentioned at the workshop, was the fact that not only do these codes ensure a safer product for the occupants, they also aim to ensure a safer environment when we're responding to fires and structural events. They talked a lot about engineered trusses for multi-story buildings so that when a firefighter makes entry, they don't fall through a floor. All different kinds of things to hopefully aim for better quality development in town and safer. Yeah.
Any other questions?
And James, we haven't gotten, I mean, I know we didn't do like a formal poll of the building community, but we didn't get any pushback from anybody saying, you know, this is horrible, don't do this, it's gonna run me out of business.
No, I haven't heard that. I heard one concern from a mechanical contractor about the cost of HVAC equipment, but I think that's where that industry's heading based on the refrigerants too. They're phasing out the old Freons and they're moving toward Puron and other types of coolants. So I think that's coming with or without your building code. It's just the availability of the equipment. There is a builder who's currently building several homes here in Jacksonville and potentially interested in building some more. Specifically asked him about any concerns he would have with this suite of codes, and he had none, no reservations.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item number 11 is to discuss with possible action a resolution setting a public hearing date regarding a proposed annexation of Jedco-owned property southwest of the intersection of Loop 456 and Highway 69. CCID number 106-727-000. Mr. Shane.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. So as the mayor just read there, the purpose of this item tonight is a resolution setting a public hearing date for the annexation of the 58.5 acre property that you see on the screen there. This property was purchased by Jedco in November of 2025 with the intent of having additional land for future development. As you're all aware, our industrial park is about 99 acres, and we're really running, I don't want to say running out, but there's limited space left for development within the industrial park due to different encumbrances like wetlands and utility lines and things like that. So we really don't have that many large tracts available within our industrial park. We do own an additional about 65 acres just on the other side of 69 on the southeast corner of the loop. But this was a great opportunity for us to capture some additional land at a very competitive price. So our goal was to do some land banking and make sure that we're set up for future growth when that may come. So as I mentioned, we purchased this in November of 2025. Through the annexation process, our goal or request would be that we bring this in with the zoning designation of O, which is our open space and agricultural zoning, with the goal that we will rezone this property when and if we have a user for it. So what that means is that we'll come back before City Council, so you'll have the full authority to either approve or deny any use before it should develop on that property. So right now, it'll just come in as agricultural space. The public hearing date will be May 12th at 6 p.m. here at City Council. So that's what the resolution states. And I'm happy to answer any questions you guys might have about this process.
Isn't it shovel ready? The utilities are already there or no?
We have utilities in the very near vicinity. So the show barn is on the left-hand side of the screen there.
Okay.
So sewer and water sewer is right about the driveway to the show barn.
Okay.
So it's not that far of a stretch to get it there. And then we have water directly across the highway.
And in your experience, when a developer looks at a piece of land, that's a very great carrot to hold out there that all that's already in place.
Absolutely. So on the 65 acres we have at the southeast corner of the loop, we're currently extending water, sewer, natural gas to the site so that it is shovel ready, and that will be our plan with this site as well. As you'll talk about in a few moments, the water and wastewater master plan. Really looking at that will help us determine what capacities we have at this site and how we might need to size things if we do extend utilities to the site. So it all really works in conjunction very well.
What's it currently zoned, Shane?
It's not zoned anything because it's currently outside the city limits. It's in the county. And so typically when you annex a property in, the city council will apply a zoning designation to that property our request at this point is just, let's just leave it ag, so that we have the ability to come back and rezone it, because we don't know what that future user will be.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Did you read the resolution?
I don't need to read this. This is great. This isn't a JEDCO resolution. I don't have to read it back.
Okay, I was wanting to hear you read the resolution.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So is there any action to this?
Yes.
Okay.
It's approving a resolution, setting a public hearing
Okay.
For May the 12th at 6 p.m. City Council chambers.
All right, well, I'll entertain a motion. On item number 11.
I make a motion that we set a public hearing date of May 12th for the proposed annexation of JEDCO owned property southwest of the intersection of Loop 456 and Highway 69.
Have a motion by Councilman Rob Goen.
Second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem Tim McRae. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item number 12 is to discuss with possible action on award of water and wastewater master plan services contract to HDR Inc. Mr. Jack.
Perfect. I'll take a stab at kind of providing a summary here, and we do have 3 representatives of HDR with us this evening as well. But this is staff's recommendation. This was funded as part of the FY 2026 budget at an amount of $250,000. We're at a fee estimate of $212,500 right now, so we're coming in under budget. What we're looking to do in partnership with HDR is take a holistic look at our water and wastewater infrastructure in town. It's a part of our utility fund. It's funded by ratepayers who partake and purchase water and pay us to process their sewer water in town. And this too would be funded as part of the utility fund's budget. We're looking to take about a 15-plus look at how we need to continue to expand and reinvest in these facilities. So while this is an expensive endeavor, this is setting the course of the next several decades here in Jacksonville in terms of where we go with these assets. We'll talk a little bit later about undeveloped property and how those could come into play as well. But the deliverables from this are an updated water model, a new wastewater model. These are models where basically we can they're geo-referenced, if you will. They're map-based models. At least that's one interface you can have if you're less technical. And you can basically put a load or a demand on the system and then see how that plays out downstream with pressures or flows and things like that to determine if you have to further enhance the system or even if you can take the load on the system. It takes into account conditional assessments. It would provide a master plan report as well as, very, very importantly, a capital reinvestment plan with a ranked project list, phasing, and costing, and then this is the data necessary to establish our utility rates. So we've had a history in the last 3 or 4 years working with NewGen. NewGen does a wonderful job of taking your CIP, looking at the bottom line dollars necessary to reinvest in your facilities, whether that comes through the issuance of debt or cash pay. But they are not engineers. They don't know anything about the projects or your systems. They basically look at how much money you need to operate and reinvest in your system, and then they back into your rate structure based on how many rooftops, how many businesses, what your average usage looks like, how you're trending drought-wise, things like that. So NewGen would still complement and partner with the city in terms of developing the rate structures, but based on a wholly new and revised CIP. To look at the level of investment. We're talking tens of millions of dollars that need to be reinvested in these facilities over the course of the next couple decades. So here are the slides related to some of these different areas. The water distribution system, you see there taking into account pressure, water age, so how long water sits in a pipe, dead-end pipes where we're having to flush for water quality issues. Can lines be looped? Those are things that they'll take into account. System redundancy, asset criticality, so where we have high fire hazard things like that, making sure we have the water to supply to the firefighters. We will be taking a look at our wholesale water contracts. We currently have about 4 wholesale or water co-op customers, and so we'll be taking a look at those as part of this process as well. On the wastewater collection system side and on the water side, we do have 5 current wells, so part of this will be looking, do we need to drill deeper? Randall led us through a process of having one of the wells jetted recently to improve flow. Do we need to add well 6? There's a lot of things going on at the legislative level and throughout the state right now with groundwater, so do we lean more heavily into surface water from Lake Jacksonville and Lake Acker? A lot of things to consider as part of this plan. On the wastewater side, we have one wastewater treatment plant. It sits outside the city limits down 204, so it's pretty far that we have to get everything to flow to. It takes roughly 25 lift stations at this point. I think 27 is the exact number. So do we need to upsize lift stations? Can we upsize some and reduce others to potentially flatline future maintenance? A lot of different things to take in consideration here. We do have some surcharging and heavy rainfall events where we get rainwater into the sanitary sewer system. That's extremely common, but it's something that we need to keep an eye on and address, because with that rainwater inundating the system, you pay to process that water, you pay to pump that water, and you want to ideally keep that out of the system as best as you can. So we'll be taking a look at targeted projects aimed at just that. This is a unique way of doing this. I hadn't seen this done before, but HDR just made a quick map there. These are parcels. Those highlighted in green are parcels with improved value of less than $20,000. So essentially they're aiming to identify through that query properties that probably don't have an improvement on them, meaning they're probably undeveloped. A lot of that's parkland. If you live in Jacksonville, you can look at that and you can identify some of the parks. But you have a lot of infill lots. I know we have a new JEDCO program aimed at seeing those redeveloped, and some commercial frontage there, even along 69. So how do we make sure that these systems can support the development of those properties in the future as we become a more built-out community? And then this is just an example of what we would see on our CIP in terms of the project detail for each project and costing. They'll also do their best job to forecast future costs, because clearly we're not going to be able to do 20 years of projects in a year. So the projects that they're identifying, 10 years from now, what do we think that's going to cost? Because we need to be thinking about that now as we set rates to fund projects 5 and 10 years down the road. But the nice thing about the models is that it basically gives us something to constantly reevaluate as projects are developed here in town. There's the potential that something could develop or exit our community that could free up capacity in the system, and then you can kind of reshuffle the deck and reprioritize. So while it's a 20-year outlook, it's not to say that it's not constantly reevaluated as projects and funding comes available and grants can be pursued and things like that. So with that, HDR, like I said, does have 3 representatives here. That's about the extent of my ability to summarize the technical expertise you had from Matt on Thursday, but they'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Very good.
Okay.
So I'll entertain a motion, and then we'll have a discussion.
I'll make a motion, we approve it.
We have a motion by Rob Goen, Councilman Goen, second by Tim McRae. Yeah.
Okay, so we're already doing, in the past 5 years, 8 years, I mean, I had a friend call me and, why is my sewer $40 and my water's 20?
Next year.
My first thing I said to him, I won't say it in public, but anyway, I told him we're billing you for savings. I mean, we're putting money in an account to fund these things.
Fund that, right.
Fund the wastewater and the water.
Yeah, the current CIP we have shows a lot more need on the sanitary sewer side than the water side. That's why the sanitary sewer rates have been a little bit more volatile over the last couple of years.
Right. But we did that. We have chosen to do that as a organization because we know we've got to make these investments. So
Right.
we're gonna have a lot of cash on hand to do that. I know we've got some money set aside for other improvements. So I mean, we've got the water. And so we're charging people for water today that has a savings account factor built into us, to where we're capturing some of that savings to expand our water production facilities and all of that kind of stuff. And then we're doing the same thing on the sewer already, are we not?
Correct. Yeah, they're all part of the rate study.
Okay, so that's part of the rate study and that type thing. These guys' involvement is more...
Essentially, they identify the projects that we need to
The engineering side of it, right?
Yeah.
So, and with SPI, with other engineering companies, with other things like that, I mean, they're gonna help us identify, hey, we got a problem over here.
Sure.
And then they're gonna do the engineering work and do the grant work and leg work and those type things the same way we're dealing with an SPI type group.
Right. one thing I do want to clarify is this is going to identify projects. It's not going to get them ready to be bid out for construction. You would have to then procure an engineer to basically design the solution and then bid out the project.
Okay.
Yep. So.
Okay.
When was
Very
the
high
last
level.
time we did a wastewater master plan?
We've got one going on right now.
Yeah,
don't we?
Randall may be able to shed some light on that, but to this degree, it's been well over 10 years. We've worked with some smaller firms in the past to develop some, baseline data, but I would say this is quite a bit more comprehensive. But
The last comprehensive water and wastewater master plan was in the mid-90s by a group called Burton Adams. As most of you probably remember them. There had been some small work done in the interim, but to James's original point, most of these are set in 15 to 20-year increments, just so you get on the field, educate everybody, and start building your funds to fund it.
Okay. And so this report is expected to be done in about 6 months?
right, we would expect completion November-ish timeframe.
And this is $212,000, $212,500
Yes.
for just the plan.
Just the plan. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
We budgeted 250.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
It's good we did.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Any other discussion we need?
Well, I'm just trying to. This is what we're talking about this tonight. Realistically, we're in 2036. When
Some of these projects would start to come online.
Exactly.
Sure.
But
Exactly.
it has immediate, the geo-tracking and all that would be really, really
Yeah.
nice to
Just a
have.
roadmap of what we need to do when.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Prioritize.
Yeah.
Well, we have a motion and a second, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Item number 13, open forum for mayor and council. Anybody, Latitia? I know you got something to talk about.
Well, if I gotta.
Okay.
No, I just wanted to say, tonight I was really honored to have Cheryl Torres with Elijah's Retreat and Mr. Patrick Foster here from JISD to just receive the proclamation for Autism Awareness Month. So it's near and dear to my family's heart. And I'm sure there's probably folks out here in the audience who also have been touched by autism in some shape, form, or fashion or another. And, I've been reading statistics, and Cheryl would probably step on my toe for even trying to quote them, but I read somewhere like 1 in 125 people worldwide have autism, and 1 in, I think it's 30 or so children by the time they're 8 years old are diagnosed with autism. So I would just venture to say, if you don't know someone with autism, you probably will at some point in your lifetime. And the whole point in bringing this out was to simply bring awareness, in hopes that when we know better, we do better, that we treat people who may seem a little different than us with a little bit more kindness, a little bit more patience, and a little bit more empathy, right? Because just because you're different doesn't mean you're wrong. And so I just appreciate the opportunity to be able to put this forward. And if you ever get a chance to support Elijah's Retreat, please do so. They're doing amazing work out there. And I would be remiss to not give kudos to JISD. JISD does a great job supporting all of our kiddos, and particularly our kiddos who have special needs and neurodivergency. So,
Thank you.
just wanted to share that.
Rob, you want to follow up here?
I'm just glad to be here and
Exactly. Me too.
moderately healthy tonight. So
All righty. City manager's report?
A couple items. This Friday will mark the first of our 6-week spring concert series. Of course, last Saturday we had the Flamin' J barbecue event benefiting the Jacksonville Citizens Police Academy. But this Friday is when we kind of take the stage, and we'll have 6 weeks in a row, starting with the worship band from Central Baptist, accompanied by many other groups that they're inviting. And then we'll have our local Red Dirt Ritas, and then we'll have, I'm not even going to say it, Los Navigates and Tuxedo Cats, local band with a big following. Todd Freeman's a local artist here from Jacksonville, country music artist, and then the David Whiteman Band out of Dallas. We had them last fall, and they were really well loved. It's about a 15-piece, very high-energy band. But I will say that this Friday there'll be free food for hopefully all the attendees. We'll have Republic Services out there cooking hot dogs, and I think bringing chips and water. And we'll also have snow cones funded by the city of Jacksonville for everybody who comes out. So aiming to be extremely family friendly and give folks something to do. Keep your fingers crossed on the weather for us the next couple Fridays, please. Our splash pads will be opening this Friday, April 17th. Those will have daily hours. We aim to maintain those from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. The 2 splash pads are at Nichols Green, and Lincoln Park is our newest splash pad. I think it'll be its second season in operation. And then our pool will open a little bit later for staffing reasons on Saturday, May 2nd, and it has hours of operation from 12 to 5 on Tuesday through Saturday, and Sundays from 1 to 6. We'll have information out soon on swim lessons and pool rental opportunities and things like that. The pool is closed on Mondays. And then the Thompson, Texas Rodeo is right around the corner, May 7th, 8th, and 9th at the rodeo grounds we're all familiar with. So I would encourage people to take part in that as well. That's all I got.
Very good. Okay. We'll stand adjourned at 7:01. Thank you for coming.